Hello and welcome to our very first video of Duval Wrecking Crew. Glad you're able to join us today. My name is Mike Matos, President of Duval Wrecking Crew and also a fireman of Jacksonville Fire and Rescue. In this video today, you'll be watching Duval Wrecking Crew and Hurst Rescue Tool Specialist Tom Winkler with MES going over with some of our newer firemen on the job on how to crack the egg. Cracking the egg is a special technique used for a scene that involves a car that flipped upside down into a ditch and there's no access to the sides of the vehicle. Enough talking out here, let's go get our hands on some tools and learn something new today.
Philosophically, here's how it goes. Generally, for roof resting vehicles, four-door sedan, you could do it on a two-door car, but it's much more labor intensive. A lot of chisel work, a lot of recip saw work. The idea is that you are going to fold the chassis of the car in half along the dotted line, the imaginary dotted line. That is the rear seat floor pan in front of the fuel cell. You're going to make some relief cuts, which I'll go over in a minute. You're going to grab an anchor point up front with a grade 70 chain. You're going to grab a bridle out back with a series of grade 70 chains or higher. You're going to put a fulcrum device, some cribbing right here as a fulcrum. You're going to run the bridle to the front anchor point through the use of a chain and a come along, and that's where your leverage comes from. You're going to basically fold back the car up on the floor pan. The floor pan looks like a piano hinge. You know what a piano hinge is? It's long and skinny. The floor pan actually is the piano hinge. We need to make some relief cuts, and we need to cut the C-pillars, and we need to get the rear doors off the pins. We don't have to get the rear doors off. All we need to do is make the C-pillar cuts, a relief cut in each rocker, and get the rear doors off the pins. It's a fairly simple hydraulic operation. The key comes in coordination between your fulcrum, your mechanical advantage, and your final C-post cuts down at the roof rim. It's pretty simple, but execution is where people fail. So it's all about execution and timing. The mechanics of the maneuver are very simple. The bridle chain, I've got some on my truck if you don't have it. We'll need a series of step chocks and some 4x4s. We need a come along, and we need a cutter. Maybe one guy with an assistant. And then you'd have a cut team on either side making your relief cuts here and your post cuts and getting this door off the pin. And you can have both those operations ongoing at the same time. One of the things we noticed, it's a real hazard if you do this in training or on scene. This is a slip hazard. You get an oily car, you get up here on an angle, and you want to slide off all that oil. So once your rigger gets up here to rig the system, don't have him coming on and off. You got to hand the equipment to him so he maintains a stable footing. So the first thing we'll do is I like to work backwards downhill. If I work uphill as I'm rigging, it all wants to slide down to the front. So we're going to get a rigger up on top, and then we're going to have someone hand him equipment when that rigger is up on top ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is put a bridle around the rear. Hey Cap, make sure we got some step shocks under the seat so we don't cause this thing to flip. We're going to want to come here, this control arm. You can get this control arm. And we want the bridle come here in the center. Yep. Kind of self-equalizing if we can.
Alright. So take this off and get the...
Now, if you're thinking ahead, oftentimes, if you don't eliminate the exhaust will puncture the fuel cell as the back of the car comes up in the ground, off the ground. So if you're thinking ahead before you rig this, clip, get the exhaust out of here, just where it's going to fold. The reason we do that is because we'll see in a moment. So this is the tow part. This is where we need those chains. Somebody's got to hold this in place. As that chain, pick that chain up. What we're doing is creating a vertical structure so that we get upward movement initially. And if we can even go one more layer, but this should be enough. Usually, this is about minimum. That's all we're going to need. Now, while you're maintaining tension on your bridle, the come along comes down here and rigs up into this pull chain. It's important also to give yourself a lot of cable on that come along. Try and make this, we don't want that come along, we want as much cable out on that come along as we can because we're going to use all of it up as this car comes up.
Both those rings should be on top of each other.
What we want to do is put tension on all of this and then leave it in place once the tension's on it. We're going to leave it in place for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preferably, I'd like one more course of rigging, but I think that'd be quick. As long as we got tension here, now we're done with the rigging. The riggers can come down, and we're going to start addressing fuel lines and our cuts. The fuel lines will bend normally as the tail of the car comes up, but just get them out of their tie downs and start them angled up a little bit. So they're all put in straight lines. So take a big Halligan, a 3-foot Halligan, get in there and just pry them up. This is the emergency brake cable. We don't need to do anything with that. Our first objective with the hydraulic tools is to get the pins free on those rear doors. We don't have to take the rear doors off, we just have to open the pins, get the doors open. So if you want to do that with tools, this one opens. You want to do that with tools, that's your call. Leaf cuts, I was mentioning the other guys, we want to ensure that they're parallel with one another, that they're in line, and they're not off by even an inch, because we want that piano fold on the floor pan. This side's got the fuel lines, so make sure we don't go, we want to cut underneath the fuel lines.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
Clear. Fuel lines are out of the way.
You need this door out of the way, Lane?
We made our relief cuts in the locker. We're going to try and make our seat post cuts simultaneously. But before we do that, let's get a lifting device on the back deck lid here or on the bumper, a ram or a high lift, to help that come along. We don't have a lot of lift here by our fulcrum. We need to ensure that this car doesn't drop below the 180. If this chassis, if we make our relief cuts and we don't have pressure on our come along, and we don't have a lifting device back here, and the back of the car drops below the 180, we'll never get it back up going the other way. You screwed the pooch on that one. Let that, use the piston trowel down there. I think you have to do it the same way. Hold on, man. Okay, go by this, then we'll stop that. Yeah, that's right. Hold your position. The only thing you're going to do is when they cut the seat posts, you're going to assist the come along. We want once we get up about 6 inches in your position, the come along can take over for you, and that ram can come on out.
Let me know if you one knee's okay, especially when you're underneath. But you can push yourself out of the way, right? Lane, you identified where you want to cut. Make sure there's no hardened steel back there. All right, hey, you got wires you're pushing out of the way. We got to cut those wires before we cut.
Are the seat belts cut?
All right, what about wires over here?
Wires are going to hang you up if you still got them.
We want to get wires and seat belts out of the way beforehand. You see that hardened steel back there, Lane? Yep.
Right here.
Okay. Either above it or below it. You see the pre-tensioner right between it and the body of the car? No, look, you see that blue thing go up? That's a pretensioner. That's hardened. That's hardened. So you're gonna cut below it. Okay. You gonna cut? You ready?
Yes, sir.
But everything's going to be simultaneously cut. So
You're
the
gonna
come
give an
along
inch
needs
too.
tension on his rigging. The ram needs to be prepared for upward motion, and the fellows on both sides of the seat post need to ensure that they kind of get through that post at the same time, if we can.
Stay on.
Come up.
Keep coming up. Come along and take over, so make sure you got stable thing.
Very cool. Very cool.
Get up on 2 feet now. All right, hold up.
Let that come along handle it.
Keep going, Logan. Just let that thing eat. All right. Hey, come along.
Get out of the collapse area now.
Come on out. Come on, Logan.
It gets easier as we start to get vertical. And you can see why we bend the fuel lines and we take the exhaust. If we didn't take the exhaust, it would puncture the fuel cell. Yeah. See how those fuel lines are continuing to arch? That's exactly right. Now here's the danger. This is we're counting on this floor pan to become a piano hinge. In rusted vehicles or cars of lesser construction that rely more heavily on that unit body, you may get some tearing. This is why these relief cuts are so important. We're getting a fold there. I don't think it's going to tear all the way across. I've done this scenario many times where I've taken a recip saw and come even across here and left only 2 feet of that floor pan and it still worked as a piano hinge. But at this point, you're going to chase it with struts. And at this point, if this were the street, you would actually strut it, secure it, maybe throw another ratchet strap on there in case the come along failed and anchor it back to the front, and then do a tunnel or whatever you need to do remaining as a tunnel to get your patients out, especially if you're down to the edge.
Do we want to go ahead and bring the weight over?
Yes.
All right, come on, Logan.
Hey, stay away from each side of it.
Along with that floor pan. Now, everybody always wants to know, is there a danger of bringing it too far toward the front? I've never had it come all the way to the front and then come falling. There goes that piano handle. And this is why you got to back it up with struts. I think we'll hold you.
No, he's saying it.
You're relying on the entire tail of this section to be held by that piano hinge. I can't rely on that when I got guys in here. So you got to stabilize this as a 1,000-pound piece of steel overhead. You've got to kind of come in this way with it, a couple of struts, come in the other way if you're going to put people under here. Depends on the vehicle. If you see some of this movement, you're going to have to back it and chase it with struts. But this is a big movement when you got nothing else to do, when you've got no other options. Let's do that. Say you don't have struts. Just keep on the come along and bring it over. It's been not my experience that it ever falls. It kind of comes down slowly, and the rear wheels end up sitting right here. So. That's usually what happens. The tires will come in and get the rocker and it doesn't really fall. But now it's much more stable than it was when it was up on that piano here. And I've still strutted at this point. But now you make a couple of relief cuts in the roof pan, drop the roof pan down, go at your seats, and look at that giant hole.
Well, we are back, and I hope you enjoyed our very first video. As time goes on, I promise you we'll get better with the videos. But for our very first video, I hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again. Thank y'all.
Thank you.